Okay, Tom, it's Twilight review time. Step 1, rent the box. Step 2, you open the box. Step 3, put the disc in the box. No, you take the disc out of the box. It doesn't quite work. Despite the similarities in cover art, the book and the movie are kinda different. And I'm going to explain it to you, both as an objective viewer and subjective Chris. You can tell I'm subjective because I'm wearing a hat. He's a little crazy. I was going to answer your questions both as an objective viewer and a subjective viewer, but I'm gonna have to save it for all the subjective Chris, just because you used the word like and favorite in every one of your questions. Which did I like better, the book or the movie? I'm tempted to go right ahead and say the movie because it's only 2 hours, while the book took me several days and nights to read. But in reality, that's not what I'm liking better. That's just more practical or accommodating. And while those are both likable features, I'd have to go with the book. Even though it was super annoying and so long, at least I could drink while I was doing that. And which one you would like better? I think you would also appreciate the time-saving ease of watching the movie rather than the book. And I don't think you would love either one. You would also choose the book. Because you are appreciative of all things written, even written badly. Structurally, I say the plot was done better in the movie, just because it focused mostly on that orange section I colored in on the pages. That was the only part of the book that I felt like reading it. They drew out the physical danger and reality of vampire attacks early in the movie. The visual effects were pretty much the lousiest thing I've ever seen in any movie. Look at me, I'm Edward Cullen. And I don't really move fast across the screen, but I'm blurring, so that means I'm fast. I'm so fast! The movie brought out more colors than I was expecting, especially the green, which I suppose was also in the book, so that was kept sort of constant, but I just wasn't expecting it to be so colorful. Which changes did I like? And which ones did I not like? Not like in the first few seconds of the movie. Tom, I'm 70 seconds into the movie and already the book is much better. So much better. When it showed a deer all scared, and then the vampires are hunting it, and they're getting closer and closer. That was probably one of my least favorite parts of the movie. I almost gave up, but I sat through the rest of it. The remaining 121 minutes of it. Because I believed in the book they were hunting bears and like violent large creatures. So hunting a little scared deer did not make them seem scary and violent. As for dialogue, I disliked the dialogue just as much in the book as I did in the movie. I'm not gonna say I liked either one better because I think they were both the worst things I've ever had to listen to. Alright, so upon review, not all of the comments I make while in this getup are objective, but I try to focus on the objective points. But by far, my least favorite part of dialogue in the movie was this part that's on the back of the book. The most awkward and forced thing to stuff into that particular scene. The only part about that line that made me curious was that they changed one word. In the movie she says, I didn't know how dominant that part might be. And in the book she says, I didn't know how potent that part might be. I'm no linguologist, but potent sounds a lot more fluidy and feminine. I think they were trying to give Edward the more physical and aggressive, and I thought in the book the Cullens were more naturally attractive and kind of animalistic beauty, while in the movie they were all just typical Hollywood makeup and lots of clothes. I hate clothes. I agreed with their decision to change the things they did in the plot from adapting it to the movie, but that didn't make it any better. I just sort of agreed with what they went to. For example, in the book, Jacob is kind of a young, naive-ish seeming boy who she tricks into getting information from by flirting with him. And in the movie, I think he's older than her, at least taller. But I suppose they'd have to, because in the second book, I think, is where the Team Jacob, Team Edward stuff starts happening, so I can't answer that question for you. That didn't quite play a part in this one. One of my most favorite / least favorite parts of the movie that they changed from the book was all the cars. Bella's truck was as I imagined it. I liked in the book when Bella drove into the parking lot because I was thinking, whoo, cars! I like reading about cars. And all the cars were decrepit and old and really rusty. And then she saw one that stood out. and that was the Cullen sob, which was removed entirely from the movie. Because in this Hollywood-made movie about adolescence, everyone has to have a nice fancy car, even though they're 16. And the sob was replaced with a nice shiny Volvo, which wasn't so bad. I was getting over it when they replaced Rosalie's BMW with a Mercedes-Benz, which I like better, but Rosalie would not drive a Mercedes-Benz. She would drive the BMW. And on that note, my favorite character is Rosalie, both in the book and movie. She doesn't like the whole Edward Bella thing and thinks that it's super stupid. I think I liked her a little bit more in the book because she's the only vampire in the Cullen family that doesn't have a super dumb superpower. In fact, she doesn't have any power at all. Edward says she does. He says her power is being stubborn, and that is solid ghosts. She was definitely made less likable in the movie when she actually decided to help Bella run away from the vampires that wanted to kill her. I really don't like how they made her character that soft. If it weren't for certain things, I think I'd like Alice better because she reminds me of a vampire version of Tonks. But she's got the whole unoriginal, I was crazy as a human, and then they made me a vampire, and now I can see the future. Least favorite scene in the book, tied between the beginnings of chapter 11 and the beginnings of chapter 13. Just because that's the point in the book where I realized that the Edward obsession was going and it's going to get stronger, and it's not stopping. That was chapter 11. Chapter 13 was more terrible because it was all about Edward's glistening, shiny body. Most all of it. The chapter, I mean, not the body. And in the movie, the least favorite scene was definitely the baseball scene. Both because it was terrible to the point where I almost died.
I can't believe they just did that.
And they put one of my favorite songs in the background music, thus ruining it forever. And speaking of ruining my favorite songs, they took a second one of my favorite songs and they put it in the credits, so that's ruined too. Alright Tom, I know this whole thing isn't over. I still have the business of writing a song about Twilight due on Thursday, but I'd like to see your video up by Saturday. That means do it on Friday sometime until 11:59 on Friday. If you don't, you'll have to see Transformers 2 with my pretend girlfriend. I wish these crackers would kill me. Oh.